Alright, so Shards of Domination. So I'm gonna go over what they are, how they work, things like that first, and then I'm gonna give my thoughts and opinions about them. I might kind of intertwine that during this, so bear with me here. So shards are basically gems, special gems that go into specific slots. So there's helm, chest, and shoulders that are your three main pieces. Then each class has a different piece. And there's three types of shards. So there's blood, and frost, and unholy. Each has three shards apiece, so there's nine total. And you can get them by killing any raid boss, or you can get them through killing the world boss. World boss drops one specific one, but then after that, it's random drops from the raid bosses, with Sylvanas being 100% chance to give you one random one. So again, there's already one layer of RNG right here. Um, and so with those, so each one has a DPS one, kind of the others are like utility as well. Um, so we'll kind of go over that. So as I mentioned, helm, chest, and shoulders are what are the main pieces. Now, depending on your armor type, is what you get next. So cloth gets bracers and belt for their dom piece. Leather gets gloves and boots. Mail gets belts and boots. And plate gets bracers and gloves. So there's like a weird hodgepodge combination, which like gets really weird when your legendaries were formerly in one of those slots or are in one of those slots. Um, it's even weirder when I'll share this later, but see, so the domination socket. So you can buy a piece outside of the raid. There's the cloth belt, leather hands, mail belt, and plate hands. Um, this was actually at 239 for me, so I'm not sure why it's showing up at 220 here. It's probably just something on Wowhead. They should probably upgrade or fix. Um, but regardless, so the effects of the shards. So the shards have ranks. So when you first get it, it's just shard of whatever. Um, and then as you rank it up, it becomes ominous shard of this, desolate shard of this, foreboding shard, portentous. So, and as you upgrade them with Stygia Embers. Stygia Embers are obtained either by killing the raid bosses, or the mini bosses in the raid, as well as doing some of the outside activities between Maul and Korthia. So, what you do when you level these, they kind of just increase the powers that they already do. So Shard of Beck is the DPS one for blood. So it's your damage dealt is increased by 1.5% when you have 50% more health than your target. So this doesn't kick in until your target has 50%. So the initial kick is at your target's at 50% HP and you're at 100% HP. That's when it kicks. But then, like, so if you were to drop below, they would be at 50. You drop below 100, it kicks off. So it's more of like a guaranteed execute phase after 50%, as long as you're being topped off. And as you rank it up, it goes from 1.5 all the way up to 3%. Next up is kind of these supportives for blood. Your healing's received by 0.7%, and your maximum HP is increased by 300. So it starts at 0.7, goes up to 1.5%, and giving you 300 to a maximum of 600 additional HP, which is pretty good for tanks or things like that, where you can get some good healing coming in with that. And the blood is kind of like one of the best ones for tanking at the moment. I gotta check with the buffs. I haven't done that yet, so this information may be a little outdated. But for the shard of Rev, it increases leech from 30 all the way up to 60. So again, one of this is kind of like supportive type deals. Frost Shards of Domination. So I don't know anybody that uses the Frost Shard set. But regardless, so core is the DPS one again, which is your damage is increased by 1.5% for 20 seconds. And it goes from 1.5 up to 3%. And it's for any enemy you have not yet damaged. So say if during the fight, new ads come up, that counts and triggers this. In dungeons, it's constantly up because you're constantly finding a new type of ad or things like that. So it's pretty good in that sense. If the fight starts off with one boss and stays at one boss, it's not so great. If there's nothing else for you to hit, that's considered a new target. Um, Shard of Tell, your critical hits cause their target to absorb the next damn show. What? That can't be right. Nearby ally, your critical hits cause a nearby ally to absorb. Why that says target? You need to fix this up. I knew that was wrong. But basically, your critical hits help protect your allies. It starts at 171, goes up to 342. I believe that does stack, as well as the 6 seconds. So like, be able to get a lot of crit attacks off. It's good, or crit hits. But not necessarily. I would take this if you're not using the Frost Shard and you're a DPS. I don't. I would probably try to shy away from this. And I'll go over that a little bit more. So Shard of Cure, again, you gain absorb up to a maximum of 3,300. With it increasing from 660 to 1,320, gained every 5 seconds to a maximum of 3,300 to 6,600, as being your cap. So that's if you're constantly gaining that absorb and there's nothing hitting you, it's going to cap at this. It's not just going to keep going higher or just stop at 660 every 5 seconds, which is pretty nice. Again, I think I would possibly take this as a off tank, maybe if I'm having trouble with absorbs on some of the pulls and things like that. Other than that, I think core would probably be one of the funner ones. I've yet to play around as a tank, so I plan to do that here in a bit. Once I can start getting lucky. The Unholy set, which is pretty much the go-to for most DPS. Shard of Dies is the DPS one for this set. So damaging a target increases your damage done to that target by 0.25% per second, stacking up to 3 times. So its ranks go from 0.25 to 0.5%. So 3 times is at the first rank it's only a 0.75%, but then at rank 5 of that shard it is 1.5%. And it's pretty easy to get that stack up. It's pretty hard to not be at 3 stacks every time as long as you have this. I'll be showing my Demon Hunter, but my Demon Hunter pretty much sits at this. Like any class that's using this one will basically be getting the full benefit from the 3 stacks at all times. And then there's some nice things with dots and things like that that help with this. Fun little combinations. But Shard of Zed is the supportive ones. If your helpful spells and abilities have a chance to grant your target an unholy aura draining 166 health from nearby enemies for every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. It goes from 166 to 334. Now the thing to note with this one is, they did change it where you have to be in combat because it was proccing like if you went up on to a mount and things like that. Because the thing to note is this thing has like a 1 minute internal cooldown. Just 1 minute after this procs, it's not going to proc again for another minute, which makes it a little rough. But it is one of the unholy shards, so it's kind of like a de facto go-to. Shard of Oath is your speed is increased by 30, and it goes from 30 up to 60. Again, this is kind of the shards. Unholy shards are the 3 shards that you want for DPS to get the unholy shard bonus. We'll go over that in a little bit. So here they kind of go over upgrading. This is for the Stygian Embers. So there's a NPC in Korthia called Heimer. You just upgrade them from there. Again, drops from raid bosses. Korthia weekly. Shaping Fates gives you 10. World boss will give you like 1, I think. On top of little guys that are the named big guys in Sanctum will give you outside of the bosses. And the way it works with the raid is, so normal will just, it's, this is an example, I forget the exact number, but like raid would drop 1, heroic 2, mythic 3. Um, and the way it works is if you killed normal first, you got 1, and then you go to kill heroic, you'd get 1 more as if you killed that boss on normal. So if you killed a previous tier before you kill the current like higher tier of difficulty, then that will change what drops. But it's only because you got 1 from from that boss already in a previous tier. um, Kind of going through the upgrading, so you can see here it takes 50 to get to the level 5, so it's 5, 15, 30, 50. So you can't like skip ranks, things like that. You just literally go to the vendor and you just buy it. It ranks up, tells you, hey, this costs more with the previous one, buy it, so on and so forth. So now to go to the actual set bonuses. So again, this is where I was talking about. So to activate the set bonuses, you have to have a helm for the unholy set bonus. It has to be the helm slot. For frost, it has to be shoulders, and for blood, it has to be the chest. Once you have those that equipped, so say if y'all want the unholy set, I've got to have the helm equipped and 2 other pieces of domination gear that have a dom socket, as well as then having an unholy shard in those sockets, in each one of those sockets. So we'll go over the blood first because it's here. So blood link is pretty good for tanks again. Pulses every 3 seconds, dealing 540 up to 1,620 damage, and healing you for 100% of the damage dealt. So it's like basically 100% leech off the damage that it does. If your blood link would overheal you and instead heals a nearby ally, so if you're topped off and you're still just healing out, it just starts healing out the nearest person to you. Next up is Frost Shard. So, and these work in either only in the Maul or Torghast. So the Maul and Torghast count as the actual Maul that we do from 9.0, Porthia, Torghast Tower, or Sanctum of Domination. Outside of that, the set bonuses do not work, but the shards do work. So again, that reverts back to Mythic Plus. You can use them there. But for Frost, so you deal a critical strike, wins accumulate 6, 9, 12, 15, 18% of that effect, up to a cap of 180 to the top of 540 per critical strike. Every 20 seconds, the winds unleash, dealing frost damage equal to the total accumulation and surrounding you in the winds for 20 seconds, absorbing 100% of the damage dealt by the winds. So it does kind of like a build up. You do a bunch of damage, then you get a good absorb. This one's not so bad, I don't think, but again, I don't know many people who are using it. Sorry, I don't want to. Unholy Shard set bonus is up next. Again, this is one that most DPS use. So your spells and abilities have a chance to drain a soul fragment from your target, giving you 10 up to 30 primary stat for 30 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. So at rank 1, it'd be 150 as soon as you get to 15 stacks. But so when you reach 15 stacks, you will unleash Chaos Bane, dealing 1,500 up to 4,500 shadow damage split between nearby enemies, and it grants you 300 up to a max of 900 primary stat for 15 seconds, which is really good primary stat, just so nice. Now to unsocket the shards, which you might have to do from time to time. So say if the piece of gear works for one spec but not so much the other spec, the stats just play out better for that other spec. You will use a item that you can buy from Bonesmith Yrmir and Korthia. So it costs 2,500 Stygia. It's infinite use, so once you buy it, you can keep using it. You just buy it from him. You use it, select the piece of domination gear you want the shard removed from. You're good to go, which is nice. It's good that it's at, especially at 2,500 Stygia. Like Stygia is kind of useless this expansion, this patch, but it does make a good currency burn for it. At least a one time. But at 2,500, I'd say that'd be too much if this wasn't just constant being able to be used. So we'll kind of go over this whole thing. So here with my demon hunter, so he's got the helm, which has the one of the unholy gems in it. This also enables the unholy bonus. You can see here again. I got the shoulders with the unholy, and because you have to have of the 5 pieces. So I got head, shoulders, chest, hands, and boots. Of the 5, 3 of them have unholy shards in them, so that way I get the bonus. And then I pick up the 2 DPS ones from the other shards. So I've got the blood DPS one, Beck, and then I've got core from Frost. So that's where that's at. Now my thoughts and opinions on some of this stuff. We're gonna run a sim, so this will use the shard set bonus. This one's not going to. So you can just have a little show up. Just that way it has a par stuff. I'm using Top Gear, so. Find Top Gear. Why did I keep scrolling? So we'll see here in just a second kind of what that does. My thoughts and opinions on it are the RNG of it. So again, cap it back over it. You have RNG of getting it from the shard from any boss. But with Sylvanas being 100%, that's a little bit better because at first, like the first week or two, she didn't give it 100%, which really sucked. Like I went through full clears and maybe saw like 1 or 2, and then 1 week I got like all of them, and then some people still don't have them, and this is with full clearing the raid. So it's kind of like a weird thing. Upgrading them's pretty easy. It just takes Stygian Embers. There's a lot of people have a lot of different formulas on how to do it. The way I did it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to use my Unholy Set bonus for Raid. So I'm just going to rank them all up to 4. And then, because the next set from 4 to 5 costs 50, I was like, well, I'm just going to use those Embers and upgrade the other DPS ones that I use. So that way I can bring those up and do that damage. Now, the real kicker here is, so you'll see here in this, with this set bonus, just either being off or on, just adds, 600. So as soon as I was able to actually use more domination pieces, my damage just skyrocketed. Like as soon as I was able to equip domination pieces and put DPS shards into them, my damage jumped. But even just going from on to off, it's like 600 DPS. That's just free 600 DPS right there. It's ridiculous. Is on top of the amount of RNGness that is these things. So that's even only with rank 4. With rank 5, I'll wait. I could actually sim it, do it. I'll do that a little later on. I'll just share those numbers. But again, just the RNG of the shards themselves sucks. Then now you've got to go into here and say, okay, well, how many domination pieces actually drop? Well, here's the kicker. You get 2 helms, so from Ner'zhul and Rokal for leather. You get shoulders, again, only 2 drop off Cherru and Kel'Thuzad. Then you get the chest, which drops from Eye the Jailer or Sylvanas. Then, so hands, only 2 hands. Same with feet, feet actually have 3. That was a good little twist. I was not remembering that one. So, but you can see here, like, you've got RNG of, okay, can I get the gear to drop? And if the gear doesn't drop for me, if it drops for somebody else, can they trade it? Very unlikely. At least for the first few kills. Then you got, okay, well, now that even either I got the gear or I got the shard, you're playing that constant balance game of, can I get the other piece for this? My demon hunter's gotten lucky. My paladin, with full clears and other things of that nature, has yet to get a full set. I am still sitting at 2 pieces of domination, and where I kind of lean in that some of this is a bit rough. Um, so this was my paladin's choices. So I did have 2 domination pieces. Now, granted, this I already have a 239 of. The shoulders would have given me a 3 piece, I believe, but it sucked because I needed to get the blood scale spattered uh, at 252. Because I mean that's just I'm never gonna probably replace that trinket, and it's gonna take quite a while to want to replace it come next patch. Um, the real kicker here is, so this is my Demon Hunter's weekly vault. So already had the helm. Chest would have been an upgrade from a 226 to 239. So there is at least that, but same boots that I already have at a higher item level. Then, oh, look at that, I got a helm for the first slot, which doesn't have a domination piece, so automatically knock that out. Boots, knock it out because it's, again, domination socket. So I ended up having to take the ring, which is like really feels bad when you have these systems that are really fun in the game, and it sucks the fun out of things. Like what they should have done is said, okay, look, all these set pieces have the set bonuses on them. It just makes the check to see if you've got 3 of those sockets on. And it would have probably done leagues better. I think tying it to 1 piece of loot that you're already, so there's several layers of the RNG to get to this bonus, then you're tying it down to 1 slot that only has 2 drops. Now granted, a bit of this may be a bit saltiness, I don't know, but it just so shit to tell people you're not gonna do your best damage, but Timmy over here, who's more lucky, gets to do more damage because the RNG just shined on him. I think it's neat. I think it was a new way of doing a tier set and an easy way at making it moot later on. It just fails the rest of the way when you just add so much RNG. Like tier sets, all you needed was just the tier set. You had it, several slots, and it's like, all right, you've got your 2 marker and your 4 marker usually. After that, you were good. Now, granted, it did allow some of them to carry over. That's different. That's not what we're here to talk about. But again, they should have just removed it from being tied to the set bonuses, from being tied to the certain pieces, and just allowed it where any piece, as long as you had 3 of them socketed. So say, I didn't have the helm, but I had the chest, the shoulders, and feet. As long as I had the unholy shards in them, then I'd get the unholy bonus. I think that would have been way much better and would have solved so much more headache with how this system is. I understand, playing a new system is going to be a little bit difficult, but it is what it is. So that's that for the Shards of Domination. I like them, but the amount of power gap I got as soon as I was able to actually equip this and actually use them just shot through the roof. Like I went a good 2,000 to 3,000 damage as soon as I was able to put on my DPS shards and then even get the set bonus as well. As you've seen, almost 700 DPS just added just by turning it off or turning it on. So that's that. Thanks for listening. If you have anything else, we can cover that later. But yeah.